And next up is agenda item number 9, Administration and Facilities. Under Administration and Facilities tonight, Mr. Jackson will present a safety update in agenda item 10A, and in agenda item 10B, a second quarter construction update. Mr. Jackson, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening once again. For agenda item 10A, we will have a safety update presented by Mr. Tim Knight, the District Safety and Security Officer. He'll highlight some of the safety features and procedures that we use to keep our students safe. It will be followed by agenda item 10B. It's a second quarter update. Ms. Connie Myers, the Director of Facilities, and her capital project staff will display the progress that we're making on our school improvement referendum projects.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Knight. Welcome.
Dr. Murray, Dr. Thompson, members of the board, good evening. Thank you. We'll be talking about tonight the safety updates so far for this year. We'll start with the safety updates review from last year. As many of you have already seen, we have had already over 1,800 new cameras installed in our schools. We have the Knox boxes, which is complete, and I cannot say enough for Mr. Mr. James Thomas with the Facilities Department for implementing this. You can see how nervous I am.
You're doing well. Mr. Knight, what are Knox boxes? Could you describe that for us?
These are very small safes that are installed in all of our schools. They're at different locations. Most of them are in the physical schools themselves. Mm-hmm. We have a few that are actually in the school signs. Inside of these Knox boxes, we have the school layout maps, we have master keys, gotcha, and we have contact information. These are very important for our law enforcement officers.
I got you.
It's also important to note that all of our law enforcement agencies, we have 6 law enforcement agencies in our school district. All 6 have keys to these Knox boxes, gotcha, and all of our school resource officers have keys to these Knox boxes as well. So
everything that you would need for first responders?
Yes.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you.
Yes.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
The Sonitrol panic buttons, these all have been installed in all of our reception desks, which are very important. We also have implemented to make sure that all of our schools are testing these panic buttons at least once a month to make sure they're in proper working order. Our school signage, making sure that they are in compliance with local regulations. We have also, for this year, we've added 1 school resource officer. So we currently have 21 school resource officers for the district. Sorry.
Just speak into that microphone for us.
Sorry. Training, as I'm sure you're well aware, is very important for our school resource officers, for all of our staff, administrators, and teachers. Over the summer, we conducted our first annual SRO, mental health and treatment counselor, and guidance counselor training. This was a 4-day training seminar that we hosted. We're very proud of the fact that we were able to get all of this training for free. We had instructors come from the Arizona Department of Public Safety and the Glendale Police Department. They conducted 2 days of drug intervention training, which is very important for our school resource officers. We also had the Kennedy Center come in and conduct a 1-day class entitled Fads and Trends. And this class focused on alcohol and drug trends, which was very important for our school resource officers to have. We also had presentations that were conducted by DSS, DJJ, Ms. Kelly Wolf, and our school district transportation office. They focused on the new school bus camera legislation that was recently passed, and a lot of our school resource officers did not know that legislation was passed, so it was very important for them to have that information. And we concluded our 4-day training session with a day and a half, a total of 12 hours of active shooter training. And we are very proud of the relationships that we have with all of our law enforcement agencies, but in particular the Goose Creek Police Department and the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office. They both provided instructors for this training. It was very vital to our school resource officers to have. I'm sure all of you know about last week the school shooting that took place in Washington. And so this was very important for our school resource officers to have this training. And all 6 of our law enforcement agencies were very pleased with this training that we provided them. Next up is our principals meetings, trainings that we've had regarding school safety and security. Last month we've had the Charleston County Sheriff's Office Bomb Squad. They came in, they provided a presentation on explosives and bomb threats. We also had the Kennedy Center come in, and they did the same class that they gave to our school resource officers regarding fads and trends, which revolved around alcohol and drug trends with our young people. Again, I can't say enough about training for our school resource officers and for our administration staff and teachers. Every month we conduct drills, and as you know, it is state mandated that we conduct at least 1 fire drill every month at our schools, and that's on top of all of our lockdown drills and other drills that we conduct. On October the 16th at Westview Middle School, we conducted our active shooter drill. It was very successful, and on March the 12th of next year, we will conduct our tornado drill. Safe Schools training is a online training program that we have adopted in the district. All of our employees, including our school resource officers, they must complete this online training. This training places the district in line with national and state safety and risk management standards. It is an efficient method to conduct employee training with the ability to track and accurately record training progress. As you can see at the bottom there, those 5 classes are the 5 courses that we are requiring our employees and school resource officers to take this year. Traffic concerns, which I'm sure all of you know, traffic is a huge problem in a lot of our schools in the district. So what we've done is we have added signage at several of our schools to improve that traffic flow, and we have got a lot of good feedback from those schools regarding that signage. Traffic control is being conducted by law enforcement. We have several schools where law enforcement is conducting that traffic enforcement at the schools. And it's amazing what a patrol car, police car with blue lights will do at an intersection.
Yes.
It's important to note that this has decreased pedestrian traffic flow at the intersection of Roller Road and Sangaree Parkway by over 100 students daily. As I'm sure all of you know, we have received numerous complaints, and we understand the issues with the traffic problem at our Sangaree schools. So This year we implemented several new school bus stops in the Sangaree neighborhood, and it has been extremely successful, and our improvements have been noted by school administrators and by parents. It has been an extremely successful campaign. On to facility improvements. Our alarm systems, as I'm sure you know, our alarm systems are extremely vital to our schools. Unfortunately, we have had criminal acts take place at our schools at nighttime and on weekends when school is not in session. And we want to make sure that we are protecting our schools even when no one is there. So what we're doing is we're coordinating evaluation efforts with Sonatrol alarm representatives to increase alarm coverage. School cameras. I cannot say enough about Miss Diane Driggers and her technology department for these school cameras. As noted earlier, we have added over 1,800 new internet protocol cameras to our schools, and we are constantly upgrading. We are adding surveillance cameras where needed. We also have the ability to have remote access to our school cameras should an emergency situation take place. On to our visitor management system. This is the Raptor system that we now have that has currently been installed in all of our schools. This has been very huge this year. On to facility improvements. These are our storefronts. These are two pictures that have been taken of two of our schools regarding the storefronts. The one on the right is obviously from Berkeley Elementary School. Construction taking place. These storefronts have been very vital in improving our physical security of our schools. They also limit visitor access to our schools. This is a spreadsheet diagram showing the schools that have received the storefronts, including three schools that are getting the storefronts installed this week as we speak. Those are their percentages there that show the completion rate. At the bottom there it shows 95%, 99%, and then almost 100%. Those are pending the Office of School Facilities sign off on those storefronts. Access control. This is another technological advancement that Ms. Diane Driggers has been, and her team has been very involved with. These schools here shown are about half of the schools that have been completed. And at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Diane Driggers to come up and speak more about the access control.
We started access control in conjunction with the storefronts. And access control basically is just a card that you'll use to get into a door. And the school can schedule the door to require a card at a particular time of the day. Maybe they want the two front doors to be open between 7:15 and 8 o'clock, so they can program the doors at the school level to stay open during that time. And then at 8:16, it'll require a card access for you to get in. We've done about half the schools. We've done 190 doors thus far. We're getting, as we're putting in the doors, we're also creating the new ID cards and giving them to all the staff at the school level. And the way that it'll work is whenever a new employee comes to the district and we put them in CSI or Smart Fusion for payroll, it automatically creates an account and we generate a card for them. HR is taking the pictures during the new hire orientation, so they send us those cards, and then when the person's put in payroll, we'll generate the card for that school if that employee leaves that school and moves to another school, that card will follow them to their new school. And I don't want to get all techie, but based on the roles that we have the employees in, whether they're custodian or a teacher or administrator, they will stay in that group at that school. So if they leave a school and they move from a teacher to an administrative position, it'll move them to an administrative level. If someone's put on administrative leave, or if they leave the district, as soon as they are inactivated in payroll, it deactivates their card as well. Or if somebody loses a card, we can deactivate it. We did just a little quick video to show you how it works. If I could do that now.
Beginning in June 2014, the Office of Technology began implementing a district-wide access control project in order to secure high-traffic external entry doors as well as other critical areas within schools. By tightly integrating with our current network authentication system, the process of granting, limiting, or removing access for employees is greatly simplified. Newly hired staff members are provided an RFID card, which is automatically programmed to the appropriate locations based on their job assignment and organizational role. During normal operations, school employees use their identification cards to enter the facility. Office staff are able to use the ExactVision security camera console, which works in conjunction with the access control system to monitor school entrances. Visitor access is given by the attendant pressing a console button located in the main office. Storefronts, which have been installed by the BCSD Maintenance Department, limit access to other areas of the building until the visitor's ID has been scanned and a real-time background check is performed by the Raptor Visitor Management System. In the event of an intruder emergency, school administrators and staff are able to use any keypad to enter the activation code for lockdown. While in this mode, all outside access is disabled, including access cards, keypads, and console buttons. Once the situation has been resolved, normal operating mode can be reactivated by entering the correct code into the keypad. To date, controlled access systems have been installed at 18 schools. The implementation of this system has required extensive planning, coordination, and expertise from the Office of Technology to ensure that it reliably and effectively protects the students of Berkeley County.
Is there any questions?
All right, do we have any questions for Mr. Tim Knight or Ms. Diane Driggers regarding the safety update and agenda item 10A?
I have a question.
Quick question.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Obie. Ms. Moore, go ahead.
My question is, are you in the process of installing this in all of the schools?
Yes, ma'am.
That's my question.
That's it. Mr. Obie?
I was curious on that new Raptor system where they're scanning the ID.
I apologize.
On the new Raptor system where they're scanning the IDs, which databases does that hit as far as the state goes?
It's using the Sexual Offender Registry. Right now, I think it's the only one. I don't have the stats with me. What do you remember? That's the only the Sexual Offender Registry was checking.
So it's
And
not.
then the school can flag someone if it's somebody that, for a custodial issue, they can flag the person and they come up as well.
So all it's hitting is just the sex offender registry right now.
I apologize. I have to bring back.
So it's just hitting that one registry right now.
It's only checking out that one registry.
Is there future plans to expand that, or is it just always going to be that one?
It has the options to do, and I don't remember which of them. There are several other databases that you can check that we've looked at for, hopefully eventually we'll include the volunteer system with this system, and you can extend the registry check or the for the database checks being in.
Yeah, and we made the decision just to go with the sex offender register this year to work out the kinks in the system, and then we'd have the opportunity to expand in future years if we'd like to. So we're still in the implementation phases in our schools, so we didn't want to take baby steps at first. And Diane, I'll tell you, I went to St. Stephen's Elementary today to eat lunch, and I walked through the front doors, waved in the office like I owned the place, went to the second set of doors and about broke my neck when I tried to open the door, and it would not open. It worked like a charm, so I had to go back to the front office and said, please hit the button so I can go eat lunch. But so, you know, it was me that it got, but, you know, if we had an angry citizen that walked through the door that was going to harden somebody, at least we'd slow them up for a few minutes. So we appreciate the hard work that you guys are doing there.
And just for the record, we're going to look at the district office facilities, and as soon as we do that, we're going to do the new district office card, so your card will work in full.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Knight or Ms. Strickers? I would comment as a parent, very impressive when I go to sign my son out at Hanahan Middle School for a simple orthodontist appointment. I have to pull my driver's license out, and I wait until they scan me. But what I really want to say to both of you is I have not heard one parental complaint. I've heard nothing but compliments. So please keep up the work. This is what our parents asked us to do. It is extremely important, and we thank you for all you're doing. Mr. Knight, it's a very special welcome to you, sir. All right. All right, we'll move on to, yes, go ahead, Dr. Thompson.
I need to make one additional comment. If you looked at Mr. Knight's presentation, you saw enormous amounts of training for our staff members and our teachers. And, you know, for our teachers, not only are they required to be experts in their content, but they also have to endure all this training because society demands it. You know, and I could go on and on about the amount of training that they have to. They're trained professionals, and they're trained for safety items, and they're trained in their content, and they're trained in teaching methods. But when a teacher starts out, the starting salary of a teacher is just above the poverty line. And if we expect our teachers to be highly trained to keep our students safe, we're going to have to do something with the pay scale. Otherwise, they're going to be able to take these skills and go somewhere else where they can make a lot of money. So my heart goes out for our teachers that spend enormous amounts of hours outside of their teaching responsibilities to keep our children safe, and it's time for us to start paying you for the role that you play.
I wholeheartedly agree. All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Agenda item 10B, second quarter construction update. We have a lot of folks here with us tonight to give us an update on the second quarter construction program. Ms. Myers, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Thompson, and members of the board. Tonight we'd like to give you an update on the status of the 9 major school improvement projects. There are 4 areas we'd like to talk to you about this evening. The first area is the overall schedule, so we can see how the whole program is progressing. Then we'll look into each of the projects that are under construction. Next, we'll look at the projects under design and in the due diligence stages. And finally, the architect for the Philip Simmons Elementary Middle School will do a featured presentation on the design of that new school. We have updated this overall schedule every quarter so you can see the progress being made for the program. As a reminder, the blue lines show the project is under design, the red line means the project's being bid, and the green line shows the construction phase. At this time, we have 5 projects under construction, 3 projects under design, and the Tanner Foster Creek Area School has started the due diligence phase. The only completion date that has been adjusted is Stratford High School project, where the completion date has been pushed 1 month to April 2015. We will talk about why we need to change that in a future slide. For the Tanner Foster Creek area, Elementary School, we are still pushing very hard to try to make that August 2016 completion date. This first project under construction is Stratford High School. This slide shows you how the summer rains impacted that critical work on this project. Each time the contractor was ready to pour footings, the rains came and flooded out the holes. The footings would then need to be reworked by removing the rebar cages, pumping the holes dry, adding rock to the bottom of the holes to stabilize the soil, then replacing the rebar cages. The crews would finish the work associated with the footing, and then more rain came, and often these rain showers were not predicted. Another reason why the rain had a particularly detrimental effect on the Stratford project is that the work area is very limited, and the contractor could not move to another area to work. He needed to keep working on the critical path, which was the footings. The rain also made the site so slushy that heavy equipment could not be moved around without causing huge ruts and potentially damage the underground utilities that were just installed. But now that the rains have stopped and we've had some beautiful weather, we are really starting to see some good progress. With this slide, you can see that the structural steel is being erected on the completed footings, and the masonry walls have started. Also, today, 120 cubic yards of floor slab was poured this morning. This slide further illustrates the above normal rains we received in August and September. You can see Noah's boat on the top of the chart there. The contractor has requested a 30-day time extension due to excessive rain and weather impacts, which prevented the installation of the footings, and it was beyond the contractor's control. We have discussed this time extension with Principal Taylor, and she understands the issue because she said she saw the rain and them trying to work in it all along. So the completion date for Stratford project needs to be extended from March 30th, 2015 to April 30th, 2015. This next slide shows the great progress that is being made at Nexton Elementary School. We estimate that that project is 50% complete. Right now it is a very busy job site with lots of trades working. We have roofers, steel erectors, window installers, electricians, mechanics, ceiling installers, etc. There are really 5 parts to this school, and 2 of them are completely under roof at this time, and the other 3 parts are in progress. Since we've hit the 50% mark at this time, and we still have much of the contingency in place, we just recently were able to add some additive bid items, such as terrazzo to the cafeteria, 24 more parking places, upgrade the paint to waterborne epoxy throughout the facility, and also upgrade the fencing around the playgrounds. This project still remains within budget and on time. If you have driven by Goose Creek High School recently, you have seen a tremendous change to the airspace. Steel is flying up both adjacent and behind the auditorium. The structure for the cafeteria was erected first, since we are planning to open that building next summer. Now you see the steel going up in front, which will house specialty classrooms for the School of the Arts and also the special education programs. For the third new building, which is the classroom wing, all the footings are going in, and so when the steel erector is finished at the front, they will move behind the new cafeteria and fly the steel for that new building next. This project is tracking along very well. 175 cubic yards of floor slab was poured this morning at the cafeteria. This project is within budget and on schedule. This next slide shows Cross High School before and after pictures of the locker room. We've been waiting on the lockers to arrive, and they did, and they've been installed, so now the work is finished. The project has really transformed the locker room space so that it is a source of pride for students and staff. This project was completed on budget. Cross High School is now moving into their Phase 2. It's under construction and it involves the media center and the auditorium. Phase 2 was just recently kicked off with a pre-construction meeting at the school, and it was held on October 21st. Work will begin in the area designated for the new media center, and we expect that work to be completed in February. Once we move the media center into their new space, then we'll be able to start enlarging the auditorium space. This first slide showing our projects that are under the design phase. For Marrington Middle School, we've had some difficulty keeping this project within budget, and we think by changing from a traditional type of construction method to the tilt-up construction method, we have cut enough out of the project so that it can move forward. Since auditoriums are large, high-volume spaces, it makes it economical to use tilt-up construction for this application. The way tilt-up works is that you put in the foundation and the floor slab, similar to any traditional construction project, but then you put that floor slab to work. The floor slab becomes the casting bed for the concrete wall panels. The insulated concrete wall panels will be formed and poured on the floor slab. Once the walls are cured, then a large crane will take the walls panels from laying on the ground and tilt them up vertically and place them around the building in their correct location. Many buildings along I-26 have been built this way. The new Jones Ford facility going up near the Ashley Phosphate interchange, as well as several office buildings near the aviation interchange. The design construction team believes we can obtain the colorful look shown in the rendering by using a coating system that is warranted for 15 years. And this method of construction will work well with this unique project. Once we receive OSF approval and review comments, we can then finalize the construction documents and start the bidding process. We anticipate bidding this project the middle of December and should be able to start construction in February. The renderings on this slide give you an indication what the main entrance and the back of the school at the dining and art patio will look like for the new high school. The high school project is located in the city of Charleston and must go through various review cycles required by the city. Recently, the zoning was approved with contingencies. The contingencies were to provide stormwater calculations for the road system, which the engineers have already sent in. The City of Charleston's Technical Review Committee, the TRC, has also reviewed the site package, and there were very minimal comments we received from them on that. The various approvals needed to keep this project moving forward have all been met at this stage. The wetland permitting process is tracking, and we still believe the estimated date of April 2015 for the issuance of the permit will be achieved. The design is 50% complete, and the team continues to look closely at each of the design elements to ensure we stay in budget. On this slide, you will see the first draft of the site plan for Fox Bank Elementary School. You can see the outline of the school and the fire station with the roads and the parking areas. We are working with the town of Moncks Corner to ensure the buildings, driveway, roads, parking, etc. all work together harmoniously. In order to record the plat for the school, we need to have an agreement from the town as to what exact space is required for the fire station. The next coordination step will be looking at utilities and figuring out which each of us will need and how they'll be routed on the site. The land contracts and negotiations have started for the new school at Tanner Foster Creek area. I'm happy to report that last week engineers were out at the site starting to flag the wetlands, and this week the surveying crew has started their work. As I mentioned previously, we continue to push hard to see if there's any possibility to make that August 2016 completion. This last project is Philip Simmons Elementary School, Middle School. The City of Charleston reviews were completed together with the high school project, so they are completed. Currently, the team is reviewing the design documents and refining the cost estimates. The early site package, which will prepare the building pads, similar to what was done at Cane Bay Middle School, is out for bid, and the bid opening date is planned to be November 13th. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you the architect for the project, Ms. Sandrine Danielson and Mr. Rich Gow, and also the contractor, Mr. Greg Hughes. Sandrine will share some images with you on the interior design, and what's more important, they intend to show you how they're going to honor Mr. Simmons with their design. Sandrine, your turn.
Yeah, let's have everyone looking in the same direction and not back and forth. Right, while we're setting up here, there's no reason to not get started. Firstly, thank you all for being here today. We're really excited for this opportunity to share with you. Sorry, sometimes I think I just have such a loud voice that I could just reach the skies. Anyway, thank you all for being here. We're very excited to be presenting this Philip Simmons Elementary and Middle School to you all today. This school we were very excited when we heard that Mr. Philip Simmons was going to be the namesake for this school. And there are so many pieces of his work to draw from, but we thought that two aspects of his work would be very helpful to basically provide detailing for the elementary school and then for the middle school. So we chose as a team with Berkeley County to decide upon coastal and land features drawn from his artwork to represent the middle school, and then animals and water features to dictate for the elementary school. I'd like to just present shortly the location of this project in relationship to 526 and the Daniel Island area. What we have here on our site plan to the lower right is the overall plan, which is approximately 43 acres total. We are facing the main road, which is the main parkway for the property. Where we have an entry point to the right is going to be your entry point for the road to the high school, the future high school that was discussed by Connie earlier. I'd like to briefly mention where we have the location of the middle school car loop entry point, the elementary school car loop entry point, and then the bus loop entry point further down the road. This site is surrounded by wetlands, which is certainly going to be a nice aspect for this project in the future. It certainly is going to be a benefit, but what we really are enjoying the design features are for the front entry is to have a nice green lawn space all the way front and having a peekaboo view, as you can see in the upper right image, of the front and center element of the school, which houses the gymnasium and several other main shared spaces to the two schools. You can see in the front lawn we've got a soccer field sized area that can certainly lend itself to many uses and can also be used by the gymnasium and after on weekend events, and will be a great resource for the community. You can also see two future ball fields to the left, and we have several smaller courtyards and patio areas that can be easily used by the students and teachers alike. Here we have a blow-up of the main floor plan. To the right, the elementary school. To the left, the middle school. And in the center area, we have from top to bottom the gymnasium, locker rooms with restrooms, music rooms for both schools, a multi-purpose room, stage, and for some smaller gym activities, and then the cafeteria. After the cafeteria is the kitchen and back of house. I'd like to note the way that the school will function for drop-off will be there'll be staging at the front of the school for cars, and students will come down those two main corridors and may either enter classrooms to the right and left or enter the cafeteria or other staging areas in preparation to get to class. We also have to the rear of the site the bus loop drop-off that similarly accesses the Main Street corridor to the right. Here you can see where we've started to introduce the various colors that we have presented in front of you today. Those are mainly being shown in terrazzo, or we have VCT in some areas, carpet in others, but you can see where we're really trying to gain some excitement, utilizing these very nice materials that we have planned for you all. And here we have the front, the rear, and then the typical side elevation in front of you here. I don't see the bricks. Are the bricks out?
While he's getting that, in case the board does not recognize, this is Cane Bay Middle and Nexton Elementary. It's just two of those sharing the common spaces. So we've duplicated the design.
So we have 4 main brick colors here. We took the time to think about the process of Mr. Simmons and his work and relating those to the brick colors, the red brick representing the fire, the black brick representing the ironwork and the finished work, and then 2 different tones of gray brick to just represent the heat, the smoke, etc. And we thought that that would be a nice play on just the way the process. And something else that we thought was interesting about the process of his work is stepping back one moment to the floor finish patterns. I don't know if, oops, shoot, sorry. Rich, if you can locate some of these areas where we've got some floor patterns, we have Mr. Simmons, the way he would generate his work, the process was that he would begin with a sketch, and then he would sketch it out after paper on the floor, and then start building his work on the floor, on the concrete floor, and start welding that together. And then, of course, in the end, end up erecting that work wherever the lucky owner lived. And so here we have a lot of his artwork is being highlighted at special nodes for this school. And here you can see an overall aerial perspective, but we're very excited to have that front field that highlights, this school from afar, and creating a really what we feel will be a very nice welcome feature in front of the gymnasium that would be staging, of course, for morning and afternoon drop-off, but also for other additional events that the school would be having, and creating a nice plaza that would open out onto what you can see some stamped concrete or stamped asphalt in front of the school. And that's really meant to be very much of a pedestrian zone for special activities. You can also see here some peekaboo views of the courtyards and patio areas to the rear, and then the baseball fields to the right. The top perspective is just a perspective view of the main entry. The elementary and middle schools will have a similar entry feature, each of them having their own name designation. This entry point will mainly be used during the day after drop-offs to house the vestibule, the security vestibule that you all spoke of earlier that you're placing in many other schools. We will, of course, have that feature at this location for each of the elementary and the middle schools. You can see to the left some of Philip Simmons' work and inspired work, and we've chosen to highlight this feature front and center on the window right there that looks into the gymnasium. We would have an etched glass feature at that location that we think will be very nice to highlight Mr. Simmons' work. Also, in addition to that, down lower, and you'll see in a future perspective here on the upper right, you'll see another piece of Mr. Simmons' inspired work on that wall, which is the entry vestibule to the gymnasium. We're working with Berkeley County to either have this work be created through your system and using some of your resources, or possibly going in another direction for that. But certainly think that having that at that location, it can be a shared piece of work. It's not necessarily internal to the school, having some nice large windows looking upon it. And moving down the middle right, that's a perspective view onto the multipurpose stage. Lower right, again, is a typical media center help desk. And then to the left, you can see two typical corridors through the school, and can see how the patterning in the floor can help to organize and help hopefully to make some teachers' lives a little bit more easy, to have lines to follow, especially in the elementary school. And that's it, and thank you very much for your time today. Certainly welcome any questions anyone might have.
All right, do we have any questions or comments? Ms. Moore?
I have a question. My question to you, in the process of the school to be named Philip Simmons, you are the one that did the historical search for that school? And I'm asking that because the community name is Ken Hoy. And so Ken Hoy name is not even mentioned in the process there at all. I think that's kind of sad.
Right. Ms. Moore,
I must make that comment.
just to respectfully just remind you, we did have
I appreciate that.
Right.
I was on the...
We did have the naming committee, yes, ma'am.
Yes, and you know, to see all this historical thing about Philip Simmons, and I could never get how he's connected to the Ken Hoy community and the Ken Hoy name. We only asked that the Ken Hoy name be added to the project because that was promised to those to the Ken Hoy community. So I must ask that because that's a lot of history for Philip Simmons, who, to my knowledge, and I worked there and at that school, has not done anything for that community. You know, that's sad.
Ms. Moore, I'll have the superintendent looking at to get some additional
I hope-
information
I
on
hope-
Mr. Simmons' connection to that.
I pray.
Is that it?
I'm done.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments regarding the second quarter construction update? Hearing none?
If I'd just
Dr.
make
Thompson?
one quick comment, please. Last Thursday, you can see from some of the pictures, Jim Hayes and Shannon Lee were able to accompany me on a tour of the three of our construction sites. We went to Nexton, Goose Creek, and Stratford, and I hope that you can report to your fellow board members that we were pleased with the progress of the projects, but more importantly, in our renovation areas, the steps that were taking place to keep our students and staff members safe during the construction process. So I hope you were able to see that firsthand, and thank you very much for attending the tour with me. We'll schedule another tour in the spring so we can update you on the progress of the projects.
I could not help but notice, Ms. Myers, if you'll look at Dr. Thompson in the picture, that hat's just not sitting on his head correctly.
He's got a jaunty look with his hat.
If you could help him put that on next
I
time.
think you need to Photoshop and shrink the size of that head. It looks like
That
somebody
may be- it could be a
gave me
physical issue.
They gave me an extra large hat for some reason.
There you have it. All right, thank you so much. What a
Could
wonderful
I just
presentation.
take 1 minute
Absolutely.
and introduce the capital project
Please,
staff
please
again
do.
and
Thank you, Ms.
recognize
Myers.
all their hard work? We have Gene Sides and Robert Bryant. Will you stand up? And Crystal's over here. And we also have an honorary liaison to the maintenance department, James Thomas. He's really been instrumental in making sure that we're building the schools so he can maintain them well.
You guys are doing a great job.
Great team. Thank you.
Great job. Well done. All right, we've heard a lot of information this evening. Now we'll give it to the superintendent for agenda item number 11, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just two quick comments. As you saw through the door of this building, our vision is to challenge and empower our students to be successful in a highly competitive world. And as we learned from Dr. O'Gorman's presentation tonight, today we have more students that are competing in this highly competitive world. And I would like to say, though, our graduation rate improvement is not one magic bullet. It's a culmination of a lot of several initiatives, hard work by our staff members, students, parents, a supportive community, and a Board of Education that's committed to continuous improvement. Congratulations to all our teachers and all of our educators for a job well done. Berkeley County is a great place to work, live, and educate children. And then last, next Tuesday our schools will be closed for Election Day. So I'd like to close by encouraging all citizens to come out and vote on November the 4th. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent. It is now time to move to Agenda Item 12, Executive Session. Do I have a motion and a second for the Board of Trustees to move into executive session? So move. Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor of moving into executive session, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. We stand in executive session.